Stuart, how's the squad looking after? I know it's only been 15 hours, but since yesterday, have they okay after that?
Yeah, well, again, you're always going to have knocks and niggles, so this morning's going to be a case of assessing everybody that took part in the game. And you know, it looks like the bounce game that we were due to take today will be cancelled, which is real disappointment to me. Again, I stressed it yesterday that we take that game to try and get some players up to speed as much as we can. Can't control the weather, but no, the next couple of hours will be pretty vital for us to just make sure that we know where we are exactly as a squad and who's available and how much time players can play, etc, etc. There's quite clearly going to be fatigue, there's quite clearly going to be that idea of playing in a game of football, and sometimes you take a bang or a knock. So what I'm going to be looking for is as many people to put their hand up and step forward to be able to start the game, not just to be there, not just to be a part of a group, but to be able to be in a position where you're fresh to play.
That must be a particular goal of the bounce game, and then you try to get the likes of Callum Slattery back, get Sam Eccleston up to speed as well, especially with Lennon being missing. You kind of need these guys up to...
Yeah, it's a huge blow. The game not been on, I must admit, because I thought we would be in a better position for taking that today. It's nobody's fault, I'll stress that again. You know, it was actually due to be a bounce game with Rangers, who've been brilliant with us this season. We've had a couple of bounce games with them to try and benefit for their side, but also for us. So that's worked out well to this point, and that's what we're trying to do again. But unfortunately, that's not going to be a thing.
How do you deal with the Lennon situation? Obviously, been out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's been never present up until the other day. So it's a big thing to almost reshape your midfield.
Huge. Again, I keep talking about this idea of you know, how you actually play. You know, not discussing what you think somebody will do, not discussing the theory of how you think somebody will contribute. Lennon has been a pillar of our team. He's been he's been a mainstay. He's been standout for us. I would pitch him in that standout category in the division as a whole. And I've even got myself to a point where he deals with all of that so well that I've handed him a captain's armband at the age of 18 for the last couple of months as well, and including a semi-final in that as well. So there's absolutely no doubt that he's going to be a huge loss for us. He's going to be missed over that period of time. But again, I'm going to stress this: we're going to have players that step forward and show that kind of level of responsibility. We're going to have players that come and I spoke about it yesterday, and again, this isn't to throw anybody under the bus. Come and take part in the game of football for that first half, first 20 minutes yesterday. You know me, I'll always speak my mind, I'll always say what I think. It was completely unacceptable. It didn't get much better in the second half, but it was completely unacceptable for the point of view of how we handle a ball, how we try and pass the ball, how we try and get the ball back, our energy, our intensity. I'll say it again, it's not taking part in the game of football. You can have your worst day in possession of football, you can miscontrol it, you can misplace passes, but the one thing you have to do is you have to be flat out. You can have your worst day by being absolutely flat out, and yesterday I have to question that. And I've said it to the group, I've said it to the players. I've not sat in this position very often where I've said that, because it's not really been a thing for us here at Motherwell. We've had maybe bad results or bad days, but yesterday I felt that there was too many that didn't take part in the game.
Put your finger on why that was. I mean, is it fixture congestion? Is it just this time of year where it is, you know, there's legs, there's a lot in the legs and whatnot?
No, listen, no excuses. I hate excuses. I absolutely despise excuses. You know, we can start to talk about the goal that we conceded yesterday with contacts and the goalkeeper and the one we didn't get the other day. We can start to go down that route if we want, but there are no excuses whatsoever. You look at the form table. As I say, I would rather just call it as it is. Last 6 games, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. Your 2 defeats are away to Celtic and away to Hearts now, in kind of normal circumstances you look at that and say there's absolutely no shame in that string of results, and there's absolutely not any shame in that string of results, including a very good point against Rangers where you would expect us to come out in a similar vein a couple of days later. We didn't. We simply didn't. So my demand now goes to the players and everybody here at the football club that we show a reaction on Sunday. I think we owe that to ourselves, and I think we owe that to supporters to show a reaction to what was a bad day for us. I spoke about, let's not try and dress this up, that Craig Gordon kept Hearts in the game in the last wee bit. Yes, we created 2 chances. Yes, it's 2 fantastic saves from him, but we didn't deserve anything out of that game yesterday.
Well, how do you assess Aberdeen at the moment and the situation you find themselves in?
You say the situation you find himself in, because we're so obviously knee-jerk in this country about we'll all start banging the drum about a bad run of form. I think pretty much every team to this point, with the exception of Celtic, has had a bad string of games, a bad run of form. Aberdeen, I'm sure, will kind of look at that and say that that's maybe the results are below the standard that they've set, an incredible standard that they set for the first chunk of the season. Found themselves flying high at the top of the league. For many people's money, they were the form horse, which they absolutely were not so long ago. So that's what I judge them on. I don't judge them in the last couple of games. I'm not a knee-jerk person. I'm not somebody that's going to sit there and say they were on to a winner because Aberdeen have lost a few games and have maybe not picked up the same points. I expect to play against the best version, as I always do. Too much respect for clubs like Aberdeen and what they've done to this point to think otherwise.
Just on the January window, how much does the recent injuries impact what you can and will do in this month?
Again, I'll just simplify it that I need to be in a position where I genuinely believe that everybody can contribute and contribute quickly. So again, whether that's for injury, whether that's for not getting up to speed, whether that's for lack of game time, injuries, persistent injuries, whatever that might be, I need to make sure that I've got as many players that I can call upon, because I can't keep going back to the same well all the time, especially when you've got this run of games to continually keep going back to the same players. We need to spread that a little bit, but we need to spread that with players that are fully up to speed as much as we can. And listen, that's not just off the back of a few hours after a poor result, a poor performance for us. That's kind of how I've felt since the start of the season, but that's also how I felt in the last few weeks when you know that you're coming towards this January transfer window.
Is it a case of some have to leave before others can come in, or are you able to dabble in the window?
Now listen, the club's been fully supportive of myself in the summer. We've always found ourselves in a position where if the right person comes up and somebody that we think can make a bit of a difference, then they've allowed me to bring that player in if it fits into our pay structure and we know where we sit in that sense. And then that might mean that there's 1 or 2 players that aren't getting the same opportunity that they maybe expect to get or they want to get. So I always feel that that's the strongest way as a football club to be able to do that, as opposed to starting to think about shifting out 5 or 6 players before we get to bring in a couple. So it's more or less for us to be as proactive as we can to see if the right player's out there that wants to come and wants to play at Motherwell, and if that can make a difference. As I say, Brian and the football club have been fully supportive of me.
Stuart, how are Apostolos and Steve Seddon as well? Apostolos are not quite fit enough.
Yeah, again, bit of disappointment for us with Steve Seddon and Apostolos, 2 guys that again I think have done pretty well for us of late, but we just need to continue to assess them. I don't think Steve Seddon will be available for Sunday, and Apostolos I think would go into the major doubt category as well, just with the injuries that they have. I don't foresee them being long term, but it is again the type of thing that can keep them out of potentially 3 fixtures in the next week is what we're facing.
I know on a positive scale as well, Jack Bale, and I know he misses the chance to then through Craig Gordon's save, but positive to have him back and him looking fairly sharp in the game as well.
Yeah, I know how good a player Jack Bale is. I do. I was desperate to get him back here, delighted to get him back in here, but he's essentially had 1 training session was here. I know he's done a couple of sessions back down south at Blackburn, but again, we need to try and work towards getting him up to where I kind of believe he got to. Whereas over the course of last season, it took a wee bit of time and a wee bit of work for us to get him up to the point where he could play 90 minutes and he could really excel over the course of 90 minutes. So there's going to have to be a wee bit of that in there as well. But the chances are we're going to have to try and accelerate that as well with what I think he can produce and what he can do for the team.
Guys like him, if you've got the bounce game cancelled today, how do you accelerate them to the point where you can actually get them in the game even off the bench or what?
Continue to see if we can pick up more games along the way that aren't you know, Premier League games or Scottish Cup games as we've got coming up in the next few weeks, to make sure that I give them a chance, because what I also don't want to do is put people in where I expose them to more injury. What I don't want to do is put people in where they're not quite up to the speed of the game. I don't think that's fair either. So as that double-edged sword again, you're trying to get good players into your team, but you're also trying to make sure that you don't create your own problems.
Moving back to Sunday briefly, rather than what you expect from Aberdeen, what do you expect from Motherwell, and are you maybe asking a bit more from guys who are quite tired at this point?
You've asked me that question a few times before. What do I expect from Motherwell? I know what I expect from Motherwell. We came up short of that yesterday, and you know, as always with myself, I'm a fighter. I'm somebody that will try and flash my teeth if I don't feel that we're meeting those standards. I'm someone that will continue to go back to the plan that I feel that we work from every single day. That's exactly what I'll do, and I hope from us all. You know, sometimes people pick you off for this as if you're throwing the players out there and you're putting the players out there. I stand shoulder to shoulder with my players all the time. We lost a game of football with a bad performance, and what I insist is that we come out fighting, and we come out with a reaction to get people on our side, to get your teammates that's standing beside you back on board, and realise our strengths and realise what we're capable of ourselves, and go and pitch that out there. I'm not asking people to do things they're not capable of, so let's get back to that.